Hello boys and girls, Mr. Giomini wanted to come to you with a couple of examples from lesson 4.4, dividing decimals by integers. Now this one is actually a nice foundation for what we get into with the next lesson with dividing decimals by integers and decimals. So if we can handle this one, get the nice base for this, it's a nice stepping point or step off point to the next one. We take some look at some examples here. And again, this chapter we did with chapter 3, we did some dividing and multiplying of integers, but it wasn't assessed. On this chapter, in this chapter, it will be. This is that second go through with this concept of dividing, as far as dividing negatives by positive, positive by negatives, negatives by negatives. Gives a nice little review and hopefully solidify that skill from the previous chapter. But let's start with something like this. So let's say we had 148 thousandths, tenths, hundredths, thousandths divided by 4. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this decimal up into my quotient. I like to put a little multiplication symbol here. It reminds me that really division is the inverse of multiplication. I say, so what times 4 gives me 0? Well, nothing times 4, so I just put a 0 here. How many times does 4 go into 1? It does not go into 1, so that would be a 0. And now I extend that to now 14. So what times 14, or what times 4 gives me 14? Well, let's try multiplying it by 3, because if I know my multiples of 4, it helps. So 4 times 3 is 12. I will now subtract. 14 minus 12 is 2. I bring down the next digit, which is an 8. I now say, what times 4 gives me 28? Well, that would give me 7. 4 times 7 is 28. I have nothing left. Now, to check this answer, if I so desired, I would have 37 thousandths times 4. And we're hoping that gives me 148 thousandths. So if I do multiplication, 7 times 4 is 28. We group 2. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 2 gives me, what is that, 14? 2 up here. Oh, sorry, I put the 1 up there, not the 2. Because it's 14, not 24, Mr. Giomini. Let's take a look there. 4 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. Decimal point. Now, recall, there's 1, 2, 3 digits to the right of the decimal. There's none here. That means I move it over 3 places to the left. 1, 2, and 3. If I'd like to, I put a 0 there to hold that ones place value, and that checks. I like that. Let's try another one. I'm going to type this one out, and then I will write it out. Let's say I give you a problem like this, or you were posed with this question. State the quotient for 21 and 4/7 and negative 19. So I see, first of all, the key word in this problem is, well, let's go back and let's actually look at the vocabulary here. So state, there's the verb. There's the verb state. That's giving me what to do. What do I have to state? I have to state the quotient. Quotient means to divide. Actually, let me change the color here because that might not come in too well. Let's go with state. There's the verb. What am I stating? I am stating the quotient. And now I have to know my vocabulary. Quotient means to divide. And what am I dividing? 21 47/100ths and negative 19. Or I can use this word and mean by. Let's now set up this division problem and let's see what it looked like. It would be 21 and 47/100ths divided by a negative 19. First thing I notice is I have a positive divided by a negative. Signs are opposite. I know my answer would be negative. I'm going to put a negative symbol right up there in my quotient already. Now let's do some division. First thing I do is I'm going to transfer that decimal up into my quotient. This is a little harder because I have a 2-digit number here. I'm just going to ignore this negative because I know it's negative in my answer. 19 does not go into 2, but it will go into 21 one time. 19 times 1 is 19. I will subtract. 19 is 1 away from 20. It is 2 away from 21. That's 21. I don't bring down the decimal. The decimal only goes up in the division. So now I'll bring down the next number, which is a 4. 19 goes into 24 one time. I'll put the 19 down here. I will now subtract. Let's see, 19 is 1 away from 20. 20 is 4 away from 24. That gives me 5. And I will bring down the next number, which is a 7. So now I have, how many times is 19 going to 57? Well, let's say we're not very good at this. So let's start to list my multiples of 19. Well, let's take 19 times 2, because I already know 19 times 1 will give me 19. That's going to give me 18. That's 38. That's better than 19, but it's still a little bit shy, because remember, when I divide, I can't have the remainder, so whatever I subtract 57 cannot be greater than 19. And something tells me that 57 minus 38, that's close to 20. Let's go with 19 times, the next multiple will be times 3. 9 times 3 gives me 27. I put the 2 up there. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2. Hey, that gives me exactly 57. That's what I want, 57. So I multiply 19 times 3. I will put the 3 up here in the quotient. I know that 19 times 3 is 57. There's nothing left over, so it's a negative 1 and 1300ths. Now, if I want to check that, I have negative 1 and 1300ths times 19. This gives me good practice for multiplying. Times 19. And let's put the 19 all the way to the right. So the 9 is under the 3. The 1 is under the 1. Remember, we do not line up decimals when we multiply. I have a negative times a negative, so that'll give me a positive. 9 times 3, 27. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. I am done with this 9. To hold that place value, I'll put a 0 here underneath the 7. Now we go 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1. Let's add this together, and I already stated a negative times a negative will give me a positive, so I know it's positive. 7 plus 0 is 7, 3 plus 1 is 4, 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, I have 2,147. It looks like this, but wait a minute. Can't forget about that 1 decimal, 2. There's 2 decimals to the right here. None here. It means I move it 2 to the left. So we go 1 and 2. My answer does match up with my original dividend, 21 and 47 hundredths. Hope that helps you understand dividing decimals by integers. Take care.